Okay, so today I'm just going to show how I usually cook tofu with tomato. I'm going to do this video in English because it's easier for me to say. The first thing we do is get our tomato and we just slice it up. I'm going to put it on the side in a little bowl. Now we're going to start with our onion, and again I'm going to slice that one up, and then we'll put that on the side over next to the tomato, just slicing it down one side and then across the other side so that we end up with some smallish pieces. As you can see, I'm just cutting it and putting it in the bowl there. So I'll put that off, and now I'm just cutting the garlic up. Sorry, it's a little bit off screen. So once I've cut up this garlic, what I'll do is use the garlic crusher. If you don't have a garlic crusher, you can just do it by hand with anything you've got lying around that crushes garlic, basically. Okay, so these are the ingredients. So I've got some sambal there, I've got my onion and garlic, tomato, and I've got a bit of belachan, my favorite belachan. Now I'm just adding a little bit of rice bran oil. First thing I'll do is add in my sambal, and then I'm going to sprinkle in a bit of the belachan. Okay, you're going to just fry that up a bit so that it gets a little bit cooked. Okay, just going to stir it around till it sort of just starts to change color, and you can see it bubbling away there. So it's kind of ready now for my next ingredient, which is going to be my onion and garlic. So let that fry a little bit, let it absorb the belachan and the sambal. Okay, and then I'll put a little bit of the tomato in, not all of it, just some of it, so that I can start it to get into the frying process. So as you're able to see on the screen there, I'm just stirring it lightly, letting it cook a little bit, sort of letting the natural juices flow from one ingredient to the other. And there's a couple of important ingredients. I've got my oyster sauce and my ketchup asin. Okay, so here it is. It's cooking along quite nicely now. And I've got to remember to boil a little bit of water, because the way I cook it, I like to add a little bit of water to increase the volume of the juices that I'm cooking the tofu in. I'll just put that in the kettle and boil it. So now I've come back to my pan, and as you can see, it's pretty much cooking along quite nicely. I'm pretty sure it's time now that I can add in the rest of my tomato. So that's all the tomato now, and then I'll add in the rest of my onion, Spanish onion, and garlic. And again, I'll stir that around a bit, let it cook a bit, and just let it sort of simmer down a touch. Okay, so the tofu that I'm going to use, I bought it already fried. So I buy squares that are already fried. If you just buy fresh tofu, you can just cut it up and fry it yourself. It just saves me a little bit of time. So here we are again, we're back. And as you can see, it's pretty much cooked now. My water's pretty much boiling, and there it is. There's my tofu. I've thrown it in to my simmering mix of tomato, onion and garlic. And I like to just let that cook a little bit before I add any water. Now I'll add my water just to get a little bit more volume into the juice, into the sauce, and then give that a bit of a stir, let it absorb everything into it. And that's starting to come up the way I want it now. There's our ketchup asin, and I'll just put a little bit of that in there as well. Not much, just about a teaspoon's worth. And then I'll also put in my oyster sauce. It's Panda brand, if anyone's interested. I've just put like half a teaspoon in, just to give it a little bit more of the taste that I personally like. You don't have to add it if you don't want to. This is just my personal recipe. I actually learned this recipe or something similar from my wife, and she's from Indonesia, so it's pretty much authentic East Indonesian recipe, but I'm being told that they make it in a similar way all across Indonesia. Okay, so what I usually add, which I haven't, is a little bit of salt. So I think I'll just throw that in there now, just give it a little bit more of the flavor I'm going for, because we only ever have a couple of pieces. So once we put it on the rice with a couple of little bit of the sauce, it's pretty much got the flavour that we want. There's one more thing which I want to add in, and that is the daging kilahan. Okay, so that's just like a little ingredient. We usually add it to meat when we make things like rendang or chicken curry, but we also put it in this tofu just to give it the flavour that we want. And then that's pretty much it. We'll just add a little bit more water, let it simmer away, and as you can see, it's well on the way. And that's how we cook it, and that's how we like it, and that's the way that we eat it. Anyway, if you haven't already, don't forget to remember to subscribe, like, share, comment on the video. Thanks a lot.